Hello, everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on digital success in insurance with Magnolia and Hastings Direct. I'm Jamie Boland, Head of Product Marketing and Content here at Magnolia, joining you as your host from a very soggy Berlin. If you're anything like me, you want the whole insurance process just to be as painless, easy, and online as possible when you kind of realistically have to deal with it, not particularly because you ever want to. When you're getting a quote, logging into a portal to change or expand a policy, or starting a claim in an app. Especially, if you can avoid phone calls, going anywhere in person, that's kind of ideal. However, delivering those experiences online is pretty complicated. That means insurers need a flexible, adaptable platform that can easily integrate both legacy or custom systems that are critical to what they're doing with modern tech and modern front ends, all in one easy flow for end users. And that takes a lot. Hastings Direct, who are very happy joining us today, is a leading UK-based general insurer that's achieving huge success using Magnolia's digital experience platform. And soon they're going to tell us all about how they do that. But before I invite the team from Hastings onto stage, I have a little bit of housekeeping for you, as so often at these things. Firstly, we're recording the webinar, and we will share that out with you in the next few days, so you can just sit back and enjoy it. If you're interested in receiving further content about digital experiences in insurance, you can sign up for our insurance newsletter by clicking the button at the top of the screen. And if you want to go even deeper, you can find additional resources around what we're talking about today in the Docs tab on the right-hand side of your screen. Speaking of the right-hand side of the screen, we will have Q&A running there in the Q&A tab throughout, and we will get to your questions at the end of the session. If we don't get to them, we'll do our best to follow up asynchronously. Staying on the right-hand side, we have a quick poll to kick us off. The question is, which digital transformation activities is your organization most focused on at the moment? If your answer is other, then please feel free to add that in the chat as well. We're really keen to see what challenges everyone's facing, what they're thinking about. And while you answer the poll, I'm going to hand you over to today's experts, David and Jitesh from Hastings Direct.
Hello, good afternoon. Lovely to be here. I'm in a slightly less drizzly south coast of the UK, and looking at the chat, it looks like a short list of all the places that I probably want to pop to over the course of the coming weeks. My name is David Becker, and as referenced, Head of Digital Engagement and Experience here at Hastings Direct, which means my team and I are responsible for research, for design, both service design and product design, as well as product management and development of our website. We're also the platform owners of our digital portals and our mobile app. I've been at this 9 or 8 years now. Jitesh.
Hi, I'm Jitesh. I'm joining you from the Midlands in UK. I'm a React dev and here in Hastings for almost 3 years, and I've been a Magnolia user for almost four and a half years. And I'm responsible for all the unauthenticated journeys in Hastings Direct. So that means all the marketing sites. We have a few of them, three marketing sites. And my main focus is to develop and maintain React components for Magnolia and for the old site.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us today. Before we jump in and we get to the good stuff, let's see if we can see our poll results. There we go. Thank you everyone for voting. So I think we have a real spread, a lot of different things worrying everyone, which is, both nice to see and slightly concerning. But there's a clear winner here, which is enhancing omnichannel customer experience, which, is something that we are going to be talking about today, and I think is a big subject in not just insurance, but a lot of different industries at the moment, as people expect more. I think it's fair to say is always a useful rule to keep in mind.
Yeah, some interesting stuff there. I think we'll cover elements of this for sure.
Fantastic. Without further ado, David and Jitesh, please take us away. I'm really excited to see what's happening.
Excellent. Well, hopefully you guys can see some content now coming through on the screen. So conscious that there's lots of people joining us from outside of the UK and maybe aren't particularly familiar with Hastings Direct. So I thought maybe worth just a very, very quick introduction to who we are. So as Jamie alluded to, we're a general insurer based on the south coast of the UK, established back in 1997. Our primary product is car insurance, although we also support customers with their bike, van and home insurance needs. Culture is at the heart of everything we do here at Hastings, and that's underpinned by a 4Cs framework, which we talk a lot about publicly. And just to very quickly touch on that, today we support well over 3,000 colleagues across multiple sites in both the UK and overseas, and we're really proud to focus on our people, and we are award-winning for doing that. From a customer perspective, we now have, I think it's about 3.8 million customers, and that number continues to grow. Company is, of course, a natural part of our culture, and our most recently published results show that we continue to perform well when it comes to growth and profitability. And finally, community, where we place actually a significant amount of focus on ensuring that we make a positive contribution to the communities that we operate within. Most importantly, though, we are digital. Our strategy, as it says at the top there, is to be the best and biggest digital insurance provider. And that's in a market that not so long ago was serviced via the telephone and in some cases even physical branches. We acquire more than 90% of our customers via our digital platforms. And those 3.8 million customers that I talked about consistently prefer to service their needs post-purchase via our digital channels as well, most often doing that via our mobile app, which is the most downloaded, rated and reviewed insurance app in the UK market. So a brief plotted history of how Hastings came to be working with and integrating Magnolia into its capabilities. If we roll back to 2021, our legacy site was a static HTML and CSS site without any dynamic functionality. The site contained a lot of duplicate code, and every minor text change required a developer to handle it. That resulted in us either needing a bloated developer team or having to have a large lead time, maybe as much as 3 weeks just for each very, very minor update. In that year, we agreed that we wanted to rectify this, and we sought to identify a provider that could meet our needs. Now, we knew that we were looking for someone who could support us in React. Most of our digital applications are based in React. We wanted to gain some efficiencies and some customer experience improvements from much more capability around reusing components across our sites. We knew that we wanted a hybrid headless solution and that needed to be cloud-based. We wanted more flexibility as well. We wanted to be able to be creative in the way that we solved challenges that came across us and in the way in which we built within our systems. And we also had the challenge, which I'm sure many of you share as well, in that we have multiple sites and keeping them up to speed with each other was just an impossible task with the setup that we had at that moment in time. So in 2022, we settled on Magnolia, and we integrated that and went live towards the end of that year and started into the early part of 2023. We felt that Magnolia met those capability needs we had as an organization. And through working with their teams, we were really confident that we'd get the support we needed. In fact, it's really clear to say that support is something that continues long after that onboarding process, and is something that we enjoy benefiting from on an ongoing basis. The final crucial piece of the pie, of course, is the fact that the price is important, and we felt we were getting a fair outcome for the price that we were paying. So thinking then forward as to how Magnolia is starting to really make a difference for us as an organization, if we roll forward to where we are today in 2024, what we find is that we have managed to get ourselves in a place where we've actually put the capability into the hands of our colleagues. So really into the hands of our product teams and into our marketeers across the organization. And that's something that's really allowed us to accelerate our content workflows. So by giving those guys the hands-on experience to manage change across the organization, we've essentially increased the velocity of change in this space by a significant proportion. Magnolia allows you to create and maintain multiple user roles and to control the responsibilities within those roles, the most basic of which being things like editors and publishers. And if we look at the example flow on the right-hand side here, you'll see just how simple that flow can be. But equally, we have on occasion introduced multiple other steps into that flow to allow us to create the protection that we need for managing some of the critical pages across our sites. The other thing that we've been able to do is to actually integrate that tool into other tools that we have within the organization. So we choose to use Octane to manage change across our broader estate, and being able to integrate that has just allowed us to have a much more consistent approach to making change across the organization and increase governance. And the governance is really the final part of that. So a much improved quality of management of change across our websites, and the ability to far easier audit and check the work that we're doing and give us a much better level of confidence and protection against the things that we're doing.
That must be such a concern in insurance, how regulated things are, how kind of bound you are by what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, insurance is an industry, isn't it? Which just, if you look at most insurance websites, they are flooded with a significant proportion of content. That is a combination of content that is meeting the regulatory needs to ensure that we are clear with our customers as to what it is that they're looking to purchase. But it's also filled with lots of content which is there to serve other purposes, such as maybe SEO performance purposes as well. So staying on top of that and ensuring that what you're saying to your customers is accurate and substantiated is really key for us.
Totally.
So if I click forward one more slide, one of the capabilities that I thought it was worth us maybe pausing on just for a second and talking about in a bit more detail is the preview mode aspect of Magnolia. So as the slide alludes to, human error is ultimately an inevitable part of everything we do on a day-to-day basis. Having the ability to catch things before they go live to our customer base, and to see those things from a customer's perspective. So through preview mode, we can look at the changes that we're making, whether that be over a desktop or mobile view. And sometimes that even challenges the thinking in itself. So seeing things on a page might completely change our approach to how we want to actually deliver a particular piece of change. Preview mode for us is de-risking that process. It is helping us make sure that the content that we push to our customers is ultimately right first time, or at least the best it possibly can be first time.
Yeah, I know from my world that sometimes things read completely differently on a copy doc than when you put it together on the page with the images and the way it's structured. You go, oh, this actually flows completely differently, and I need to. You want to discover that before it goes to customers.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Jitesh, you're a big advocate of preview mode. It's a capability that I think you find particularly helpful. Can you think of any particular examples where we've managed to leverage that?
As a developer, I've worked with various CMSs, and some of them with the visual editor capability, but none of them has this advanced and user-friendly preview mode. So this was being hugely helpful in identifying design issues. So we give the power to the content to create a page, but what if we want to check if the design is right? So we have to wait till it deploys into pre-prod and then give to all the stakeholders or the design team. Whereas here, as soon as you create the page, you can just give it to the designers and they can quickly sign off the design. So it's really like a time saving. You don't have to go through multiple PowerPoints or anything. It's just there. So speedy turnaround. And one more thing is, when we are outboarding a new user onto Magnolia, so there's no huge like what you call like tutorial or any learning curve for that training. Yeah, so it's really easy to onboard them. So as you can see, you just have to explain what the green bars mean, and they can run with it. So it's really easy. And the one more main thing that I found interesting was the mobile. In the preview mode, you can select which viewport and how the page looks in a particular viewport. So being a website that has almost 60% of the users coming from mobile, so it's having the content editor check their work in mobile then and there itself is a huge win. Rather than having it to be deployed, it's instant. So yeah, it actually encourages them to check every piece of their work in mobile before they even publish.
Yeah, so it's so true. Like I spend a lot of time reminding stakeholders across the organization that our user base now is predominantly mobile users. Some of our journeys will see in excess of 75% traffic coming through mobile. And yet I think we still have mindsets organizationally at times where we design and think about things in terms of the content on a page, and we all work off of laptops on a day-to-day basis, and we look at them in those views and we go, yeah, that's all right. And then we stick it into a mobile view and suddenly your perspective changes very quickly. So it's really helpful to be able to showcase to our colleagues across the organization exactly how their work might look in a mobile view and make them just stop and think about whether they've got it quite right. Sorry, Jamie, I interrupted you there.
No, I was going to say, I was going to agree with you. This is a webinar, not a debate. But how, especially in insurance, it's not a product people often want to buy. You have to buy car insurance. If you hit that page and it's annoying or difficult, you're gonna the chance of a bounce is incredibly high. You can capture them faster and make that smooth for them. People are easily distracted.
Let's keep going though. A few more bits that we definitely want to cover. So by putting the capability into the hands of our stakeholders across the business, what we've effectively done is created a whole load of time for our far more skilled developers to be able to repurpose their efforts onto things that they just frankly weren't able to get to historically, which is also really exciting for a developer to be given the freedom to do so much more of that kind of work. So Jitesh and the team have focused on a number of things over the course of 2024. If we roll back to the start of the year and looking at the left-hand side of this particular image, performance of our site using Lighthouse, Google standard mechanisms to understand that was at a pretty low point in time, primarily because, as I say, we originally designed and built for desktop first, but also just not a focus area for us as we built out the website in previous years. Equally, the speed of performance of our site, when you then run that through capabilities such as page speed, demonstrated that we just have a significant delta to where we wanted to be and where a lot of the industry was at that moment in time. So with Jitesh's newly found free time and the team's free time, he was able to really spend a bit of time across the first quarter of this year digging into our code and understanding where the opportunities were to make a difference in that space. And those right-hand side bluer numbers that you see on that left-hand image just show the transformation that he's been able to achieve together with the team by making just a number of smaller tweaks to the way in which the site is constructed and the way in which the code is written, which ultimately means, of course, our customers are getting a far better experience when it comes to accessing and loading up our site for the first time. Now, in the middle of that page, the other area, which again, we hadn't touched for quite a significant amount of time, is the overall navigation. So again, on a hard-coded site, really hard to make material strides forward when it comes to the overall navigation. What we've been able to do is take a step back and think about how do we want that navigation to work going forwards for our customers, doing some thinking, some research, talking to our actual customers about how best to construct what is a lot of information that lives on a car insurance and a general insurance website, and come up with a structure which we think will work better for our customers going forward. So we're actually in the process of building this at the moment. It'll go live to our customers very, very soon. And what we'll start to learn is as to how that worked best for our customers. The real beauty comes from the fact that it's now built in Magnolia, which means that as we learn how customers use that, we can very quickly adapt it and start to change it again if we see that something isn't quite working and customers aren't quite finding things in the way that we hoped or expected that they might do so. So that's really exciting, again, for our customers to start to get that benefit. And on the right-hand side is probably, for me, some of the most exciting things that Magnolia is starting to trigger for us as an organization. So many of you will be familiar with the kind of app banners that will sit at the top of most websites promoting the app capability of any given organization. Most organizations are using out-of-the-box solutions when it comes to putting that in front of their customers, the native capabilities that live within Android and iOS primarily. Those, whilst very effective, come with a number of limitations. And what was really exciting for us is we were able to put that challenge in front of our development team and say, well, what could Magnolia do for us? And effectively, Jitesh and the team have been able to come up with a solution which we think will give us a far greater level of creativity and capability to be more targeted and personalized to our customers by building a component within Magnolia. And again, a component that we can then manipulate and change and adapt over time as we learn as to how our customers utilize that capability. So it's really exciting for us that our developers are now in a place where they can start getting really creative with Magnolia as a tool. And my favorite line that Jitesh says to me, and he said it to me more than once this year, is that when we come to him and the team with a business problem, the going in position is that, well, Magnolia can do that, even if he doesn't yet know necessarily how Magnolia is going to do that. He's super confident that it can do it. And that's really exciting for us.
So as soon as I saw the designs for the mega menu, this was the first thing that I thought that came to my mind is flexibility. So it doesn't have to be the same design overall. So we can pick and choose what goes into the first screen, second screen, third screen. So this is the information architecture that we built in Magnolia. It's completely flexible so that we can move around stuff. Even if something is not working now, we can change it later. We can keep testing new ways of doing things. So that's a huge thing for our website that was stale for almost 3 or 4 years.
It's so nice. Well, one, working in Magnolia, it's so nice to hear that that confidence that Magnolia can do anything coming from but also it's amazing for me to hear that that human side of it, of how it's changed that interaction between the different teams and the general workday, and how that kind of human impact of tools that actually work for you rather than that you're fighting against is hard to capture. But I think you probably can really feel it, and I can certainly and hear it from both of you.
Yeah, of course. I mean, different organizations are set up differently. Some organizations will have well-established content management teams. I think there's been a part of us ultimately changing our thinking and the way in which we manage change across our content as an organization. But it is so lovely to have our developers fully involved in that consultation process around changes that we're making, that our content managers and our product managers across the organization, our marketeers, understand and appreciate the capability that both the team and the tool have, and then come to us with those kinds of challenges. So yeah, it's really enjoyable to observe as a leader. I will keep moving us on in the interest of time. So the final, I guess, key element that I wanted to touch upon, of course, is the way in which the platform has allowed us to ultimately drive SEO performance. Again, putting it in the hands of our marketeers and giving them far more freedom. When I talked to our marketeers within Hastings, they talked to me about how Magnolia has essentially been a catalyst for them to have one of our strongest years when it comes to SEO improvements as an organization. They describe the tool as essentially allowing them to have far less reliance on our developer and technical resource as an organization. They can be far more reactive to the performance and the changes that they see in the market, and they can go in and make very simple content and meta tag changes far more easily and at a much higher level of frequency than they were able to do previous to us onboarding Magnolia. We also have given them the capability to make very simple design or structural changes within a page that allows them, again, to go after ranking opportunities that they observe based on their own work. And through the governance, they've also started to identify other legacy challenges that they can then tackle. So a good example of that being where, historically, the organization would have made decisions about indexing or de-indexing pages, and we now suffer the perils of whatever changes we made and decisions we made at the time. And there are instances within this work where we've been able to identify opportunities to close gaps or change approaches in certain areas, and giving customers a much better experience as a result of that. Such is their confidence. Again, it goes back to that kind of piece of collaborating on how Magnolia can solve a number of problems. They're in a place now where they're starting to create a bit of a wish list of the sorts of things that they'd like us to be talking to Magnolia about as to new capabilities and new changes within the tool. And that really, I guess, touches upon the beauty of having a partner that you're working with that is open to those kind of ideas and open to creating new capabilities that will benefit not just us and our customers, but other people that are using that particular tool. So I thought I'd finish before we open up for any questions with a very quick summary of essentially why Magnolia is working so well for us here at Hastings. It is and has been a very straightforward platform for us to set up as an organization and for us to maintain. We are soon to be upgrading to the latest and newest capabilities that Magnolia have. It's allowed us to really drive ownership and ultimately change the velocity of delivery in our organization by putting it in the hands of our product and marketing teams. We, as mentioned, have multiple websites that we manage, and we are now in a place where all of those things are on the same platform, and we have essentially gained the efficiency that comes with having those all in one place. We have got ourselves in a place where we are far better protected from human error and other risks that come through operating in the way that we perhaps were historically, and the increased governance and the robust deployment processes and audit trails that Magnolia affords us just puts us in a much stronger position as an organization in, as you alluded to, Jamie, a very regulated industry. And the final piece there is, of course, that we've been able to integrate that into a tool that works for us and allows us to have consistency in the way in which we deliver change across the organization. We're now starting to think about where we go next with Magnolia. As I mentioned, our broader digital estate is largely managed across React. Of course, within that, there are significant areas within which there are content which is hard-coded and that can often become challenging to get prioritized for change versus other big ambitious changes that we have as an organization. And so, of course, we're starting to think about how Magnolia can help us solve some of those sorts of problems that exist across the wider estate. And with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and hand you back to Jamie.
Thank you so much, David and Jitesh. I think that's certainly, as I said, for me, it's amazing to see the human impact that that Magnolia has, and the way that it's really unlocked your teams and made people's lives better as in the team, as well as delivering better experiences for your own customers.
It's a benefit that I didn't necessarily appreciate would come through when we was set about the task of onboarding a new provider, a new platform capability for us at Hastings. I definitely didn't think about the people benefit that came with making the changes that we have.
And thank you. It's amazing for me to see how it's on a company and personal level, to see how it echoes how we sell Magnolia.
Yeah.
I think we've got some time for some Q&As, which is nice. Sometimes when we do these things, we run right to the line. We have a question from Joaquin Alfaro, who asks, how do you preview contents of Magnolia rendered from another web app?
Sounds very much like a Jitesh question.
For example, React app consuming Magnolia.
So right now we are supplying a separate SPA into Magnolia. So that's a copy of the main site into Magnolia, so that it renders inside Magnolia itself. But we are moving into the new way of doing things. So that's like connecting the preview web app to the live app itself. So we are using Next.js as a React framework. And in Next.js we have a capability of a draft mode. So in draft mode you can actually preview. You can connect the preview app to that draft mode, and you can actually preview the live side itself in the preview mode. Hope that answers your question.
Seems like a good answer to me. And we have a question from Andrea Testa. Are you using the app as an acquisition strategy even for new customers?
It's a good question, Andrea. No is the short answer. The UK market is largely dominated by price comparison websites where customers will go and seek to understand the broader market pricing as part of their purchasing journey. At the moment, the app isn't a place where we are choosing to kind of battle with that customer behavior. Not to say that might not be an opportunity for us in the future, but today it's not an acquisition tool. No.
Yeah, when I lived in the UK, I started at the comparison sites as well. That's just how things need to work.
UK market, perhaps, from speaking to colleagues and peers around Europe, is in some cases unique versus others in that it is flooded with a significant proportion of competitors, and therefore for customers to be able to be confident they're getting the best possible price and avoid having to key in what is a lot of information in some cases across lots of different websites. The aggregators play a very good role in bringing that all into one place for them.
Yeah, because living in Germany involves a lot of insurance. I learned after moving here, so that would probably be helpful.
I find it fascinating talking to people in other countries about insurance, but maybe that says more about me than I'm wanting to let on.
I think you can, it's good to be interested in what you do.
Darren's asking us about challenges and how
it's going to be Ireland.
So it's a good question, Darren. I think I'll spin your question slightly differently and almost answer with my pre-made response to what would we maybe do differently as an organization if we tackled the problem again. I'm pleased to say, as alluded to in the content today, largely it went very successfully. I think one of the things that we would probably want to appreciate again much earlier, if we'd have gone through that task again, was to think about all of the different peripheral roles and support we needed internally within our organization to onboard a new tool. Magnolia were extremely helpful and continue to be so as we upgrade and maintain the platform. But within our own organization, being really clear on what peripheral capabilities we needed to support that onboarding probably would have helped us move even faster as an organization. As something we hadn't done previously, we kind of learned a little bit along the way. Outside of that, just an awful lot of work for Jitesh and the team to actually move the content, wasn't it? I guess is the other piece. That's some hard labor that you have to do as part of that natural change.
Well, actually, for me as a developer, it actually changed my way of thinking. I used to think about my users to be the actual users of the website, but now I have to think about the actual users and the content editors as a user. So any component we build in Magnolia, for Magnolia, should be really intuitive and easy to use with minimum, head start or minimum learning curve. So that has changed my way of thinking. But actually, the main benefit is I can remove myself from the equation afterwards. It's once I build it, once I spend time on it, that's it. They can do it on their own. I don't have to worry about that anymore. I don't have to keep maintaining it. So that's a huge win for me. I think I've built some components almost 2, 3 years before, which haven't even touched. But the same component has been used in very creative ways by the users. So that was good to see.
Jamie, I can't ignore Ralph's question out of courtesy more than anything else. So Ralph's asking about whether Magnolia is suited for other insurances than vehicles. The short answer is yes, absolutely. I don't see any boundaries when it comes to Magnolia's capability in that space. Just for our satisfaction is looking for.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yes, Magnolia can help you sell any kind of insurance and indeed build portals for any kind of business. It's or apps. It's we do lots of different things and we support businesses all around the world. Thank you. I think we are hitting time. I know everyone's got busy days. I've got some more rain to get to here in Berlin. So thank you so much to David and Jitesh for joining us, for sharing their story and expertise and the journey you've been on with Magnolia. Thank you to everyone for joining us today, for coming and listening to our story. And if you work in an insurance company, any kind of insuring anything or any other kind of business, and you've been a little bit inspired by what's possible with Magnolia, please do get in touch. Eve has dropped a demo link in the chat. Our website is there. We're pretty easy to find, hopefully. Otherwise, I'm not doing my job properly. And if you're in the UK and you need a car, van, bike, or your home insured, I hear Hastings Direct have a great website that will help you do that.
Let me keep getting better. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much, everyone.